A title change can be a great way to supercharge a wrestling promotion and generate all sorts of new interest in a product. Equally, they can happen by total accident. AJ Styles and Kevin Owens. NXT has had plenty of memorable belt swaps over the years. Some set up huge angles for way in the future, while some were just really fun to watch at the time. Either is valid, and both are worth celebrating. Let's do that. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 best NXT title changes ever. Join us. Number 10, Ricochet defeats Adam Cole for the NXT North American Championship. The NXT North American Championship got off to a great start as its inaugural holder was decided in a bona fide 5-star classic. Go on, Dave. The insane 6-man ladder match from TakeOver New Orleans ended with Adam Cole raising the beautiful belt above his head. Unfortunately, you can't really win a championship from nobody, so we decided not to count this moment. Instead, let's fast forward to when Cole lost the belt at TakeOver Brooklyn 4. Taking on the leader of the Undisputed Era was another participant in the initial ladder match, the man that gravity forgot, Ricochet. Yeah, I know that was Pac's nickname in WWE, but the sentiment still applies, right? To the surprise of absolutely nobody, Cole and Ricochet put on a spectacular match. Highlights included Rick taking out Cole with a Hurricane Rana off the apron to the outside and getting hit in midair with a perfectly timed superkick off a springboard moonsault. How they even managed that I will never know. 6:30 cents on later, and Ricochet had ended Cole's reign to pick up his first title in NXT after one hell of a battle. Nice work, Trevor. Number 9, the Undisputed Era defeats Mustache Mountain for the NXT Tag Team Championships. It was incredibly tempting to put the reverse of this result on this list when Mustache Mountain beat the Undisputed Era to win their only set of NXT Tag Team titles. That match took place on the second night of the 2018 United Kingdom Championship Tournament, which was good because it happened in front of a British crowd, but bad because comparatively few people actually saw it. For that reason, we have to give this spot to the night the dastardly heels snatched the belts back from the plucky Brits. 2 days later in reality, although much later in kayfabe, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish got their rematch against Tyler Bate and Trent Seven. Though these two teams could put on an all-out physical performance, this match was all about storytelling and psychology. The Era isolated Seven throughout the match, identifying him as a weak link. Bate found this very distressing, as Seven wasn't just his partner, but his mentor as well. Finally, the younger man could take no more and threw in the towel to save his older friend, handing the titles back to the baddies. No, you're crying. Number 8, Keith Lee beats Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. The pandemic was a pretty awful time to be a wrestling fan. In fact, scratch that, it was an awful time full stop, obviously. However, one of the bright spots in this utterly dismal period of humanity was watching one very handsome man beat another very handsome man for a very handsome belt. Keith Lee had been North American champion since defeating Roderick Strong for the gold in January 2020. Come summertime, Adam Cole was desperate to get that belt back into the Undisputed Era, and so laid out a challenge for the big man. A match was made for the second night of the Great American Bash. Cole versus Lee, title for title, both men's lives on the line. Sorry, got a bit carried away there. The two future AEW co-workers put on a great showing before Lee planted Cole with a big bang catastrophe to become the first man to hold both belts at the same time. Limitless Lee had spent so long in NXT not doing that much, despite having all the potential in the world. Now, here he was, a double champion, having just ended the longest world title reign in the brand's history. Again, you're crying. Number 7, Kevin Owens defeats Sami Zayn for the NXT Championship. Though they're the best of friends these days, depending on if they've fallen out or not before this video gets released, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have a checkered past, and that is putting it lightly. Even if you discount all the stuff they did to each other in Ring of Honor and beyond, the Owens-Zayn rivalry has gone to some pretty extreme places over the years. The first time these two faced each other in a match in WWE was at 2015 2015's NXT TakeOver rival. Owens had previously ruined Sami's night by attacking his so-called friend an hour or so after making his debut. Now the two would square off for Zayn's NXT title. The match was booked to perfection, showcasing Owens as a brutish monster who would go to any length to get what he wanted. In the end, Owens just wouldn't stop powerbombing Zayn to the point where the referee awarded him the match and the title via stoppage. This was a risky move, as stoppage finishes don't always go over well, but it fit the characters perfectly. Owens the Destroyer and Zayn the man who never gave up. Lovely stuff. Number 6, American Alpha defeat the Revival for the NXT Tag Team Championships. The men currently known as FTR were a large part of why NXT was famed for its tag team wrestling during its glory days. We will get to their most famous rivalry in a bit, but let's remember this forgotten gem from TakeOver Dallas back in the far-flung year of 2016. God, I'm old. Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, as they were called at the time, were set to defend their tag team titles in the night's opener. Their opponents, the odd couple duo of ultra-serious Jason Jordan and Goofy McGooferson Chad Gable. The pair known as American Alpha had come together the previous year and had gotten very popular amongst the NXT faithful. This led to a tag title match that was, to put it pretty bluntly, absolutely class. After overcoming Dash and Dawson's cheating ways, American Alpha pinned Dawson to end the Revival's reign and begin their own time on top. This victory meant so much to everybody involved, making it one of the most uplifting moments in NXT history. I mean, just ask Jason Jordan, who couldn't help but burst into tears upon winning. Wow, somebody really was crying. Thought that was just a running gag. Number 5, TOMMASO Ciampa defeats ALEISTER Black for the NXT Championship. Once upon a time, TOMMASO Ciampa was in genuine danger of being attacked if he ever left his own house. The Blackheart earned his nickname through his feud with Johnny Gargano, which began with the shocking breakup of DIY at TakeOver Chicago. Fans thought the rivalry was over and done with at TakeOver New Orleans when Gargano beat his nemesis in a match to earn his NXT job back. Little did we know, things were just getting started. On that same show, ALEISTER Black beat Andrade Cien Almas to win the NXT Championship. This was a great moment, but nothing compared to how his reign would end. On the July 18th, 2018 episode of NXT, Ciampa faced off against Black for the top prize. Thanks to an inadvertent assist from Gargano himself, Ciampa was able to win the match and become acquainted with Goldie for the very first time. The new champ was public enemy number 1 back in those days, so putting the belt on him in such a devious manner was a stroke of genius. Number 4, Rhea Ripley defeats Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship. Asuka may have had the longest single NXT Women's Championship reign, but the woman who has held the belt for longer than anyone else in total is Shayna Baszler. Across her 2 stints as champ, Baszler has held the gold for a combined 549 days. Her second reign was ginormous at 416 days. That was until she ran into Mami. Rhea Ripley returned to NXT as a babyface in the summer of 2019 and pursued the Queen of Spades until the end of the year. The turning point came at War Games, where Ripley's team beat Baszler's despite a significant numbers disadvantage. Curse you, Dakota Kai. On the December 18th episode of NXT, Ripley got her Women's Championship shot. In the bout's closing moment, she was able to hit the title holder with an avalanche riptide to score the 1, 2, 3. Getting a big win over a long-reigning champion transformed Ripley into a megastar. The entire locker room emptying out to celebrate with her should confirm that theory to you. In fact, this episode was the only one where NXT beat Dynamite in the key 18 to 49 demographic. Which is good, I think. Probably means something to someone somewhere. Number 3, Sami Zayn defeats Adrian Neville for the NXT Championship. It's fair to say that without Sami Zayn and his rise to the top, NXT perhaps wouldn't have caught on fire in the way that it did. Zayn played the tenacious but flawed hero superbly, always coming up short in big matches despite his natural skill. In order to secure a one-on-one match for the belt at TakeOver R Evolution, he needed to make a dangerous wave favor. The challenger put his NXT career on the line, saying that if he didn't win the gold, then he would pack his bags and go. ADRIAN and NEVILLE, a pre-bastard pack, agreed and the fight was on. This drama only added to what was a damn fine wrestling match. Neither man was a slouch, far from it, and they put the crowd through their paces in this fast-paced encounter. Finally, after a haluva kick to the Geordie's dome, ZAYN got the job done and was crowned the new NXT champion. All his hard work had finally paid off, and those who had followed ZAYN up to this point had all of their faith rewarded. And then that horrible Kevin Owens showed up and ruined everything. Stop. Stop! He's already dead! Number 2, DIY defeat the Revival for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Sure, watching Jason Jordan cry in Texas was nice, but come on, you were all waiting for this one. The team of TOMMASO Ciampa and Johnny Gargano had a huge opportunity at TakeOver Brooklyn 2. They were taking on the Revival for the Tag Team Gold. Unfortunately though, the bad guys won the match when Gargano submitted to a leg lock. Bloody hell, Johnny, this is why you're gonna get turned on next year. As we all know by now though, the story in WWE is never over, and Gargano and Ciampa got one more chance at TakeOver Toronto in a 2 out of 3 falls match. These lot could have wrestled blindfolded with their legs tied together and still turned out at least a 4-star match. They just clicked with one another so well, and this match in Canada was their magnum opus. After the match went to 1 fall apiece, DIY got their opponents in simultaneous submissions as the Revival clung to each other in an attempt not to tap. They could not hold on though, as the bad guys gave in to give the heroes their biggest win to date. Nicely done, boys. Number 1, Bayley defeats Sasha Banks for the NXT Women's Championship. The first TakeOver Brooklyn event from 2015 was what really took NXT to the next level. It was their first major show to accompany a WWE Big 4 pay-per-view, their first major show to take place outside of Full Sail University, and bloody Jushin Thunder Liger was there. Like as a wrestler, he had a match. He wasn't just in the stalls. The whole show was great, top to bottom, but the pinnacle of the evening was the NXT Women's title match between champion Sasha Banks and challenger Bayley. Both performers were in their prime positions. Sasha was an arrogant heel, whilst Bayley was the most wholesomely cherished wrestler since the death of kayfabe. They were both part of the 4 horsewomen that had revolutionized women's wrestling in WWE, and in New York City, they would kick things up a notch. The pair left it all in the ring, putting on easily the best women's match in WWE history up to that point. The cherry on top was Bayley's victory, as the crowd exploded with affection towards the hugger. For so many different reasons, both in storyline and in the real world, this was a truly special result. And yes, I am crying.